From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. The leader of BC's Green Party says the collapse of the province's official opposition less than 2 months before the October 19th election underscores the need for a collaborative minority government where the Greens can help keep the party in power in check. Sonia Furstenau says the Greens are focused on showing voters there's a real alternative to what she described as polarization and acrimony between David Eby's incumbent NDP and John Rustad's Conservatives.
In this and in every election, voting for a party that represents your values, your vision for the future, and your hopes for the province is a much stronger democratic action than voting against or voting out of fear.
Furstenau says the NDP and Conservatives are busy defining themselves as each other's opposite side instead of offering voters a vision for a better future. A $2 billion federal loan for Ottawa-based satellite operator Telesat has Canadian politicians debating about whether American billionaire Elon Musk poses a national security risk. Now, the Liberals say it's a matter of national and Arctic security, and it's also important to have a Canadian company behind critical infrastructure instead of going with Musk's company, Starlink. Telesat CEO Dan Goldberg says Canada is taking similar measures to other countries.
If you look around the world, governments are routinely partnering with their domestic operators.
The Telesat system will play a part in the Liberal government's plan to connect all Canadian households to broadband by 2030. There are still plenty of questions remaining this morning following an incident of violence at a Montreal area mosque. Police say a physical altercation occurred after a 24-year-old entered the Muslim Cultural Center in Chateauguay. 3 men in their 50s suffered only minor injuries, with one transported to hospital. The suspect was reportedly wielding a knife, but it's unclear if it caused any of the injuries. A disturbed Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, posted on social media that his thoughts were with those involved and the entire congregation. Lebanon's health minister says the death toll from an Israeli airstrike on a Beirut suburb has risen now to 31, including 7 women and 3 children. 68 people were also wounded, with 15 still in hospital, in what has become the deadliest Israeli airstrike on Beirut since the summer of 2006 Israeli-Hezbollah war. Israel launched the rare airstrike hours after Hezbollah launched one of its most intense bombardments of northern Israel in nearly a year of fighting. And just one last update, Hezbollah says among the dead are 15 operatives, with search and rescue efforts underway. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Hamilton Tiger Cats beat the Toronto Argonauts 33-31 in some Friday CFL action. Mark Leggio booting a 48-yard field goal as the time expired for the win. Meanwhile, the Saskatchewan Roughriders held off the Calgary Stampeders 37-29 in the late contest. It looks like there's no stopping Dodgers slugger Shohei Ohtani, who hit his 52nd homer of the season in what would be LA's 6-4 win over Colorado. Meanwhile, the Toronto Blue Jays, their chances of climbing out of the American League East Division basement are growing slimmer by the day. Tampa beat Toronto 1-0 to move 3 games up on the Blue Jays. And finally, in NBA offseason news, there's word the Philadelphia 76ers are locking up Joel Embiid to a long-term extension. Reports say the 3-year deal is worth about $193 million US and will keep him with the Sixers through the 28-29 season. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.